हेलो स्टूडेंट्स, यूट्यूब चैनल सोशियो क्लासेस में आपका स्वागत है। आज हम इस वीडियो में पॉलिटिकल साइंस के बीए सिक्स्थ सेमेस्टर मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चंस डिस्कस करने जा रहे हैं, जो कि आपके एग्ज़ाम अप्रैल मई 2025 में होने हैं। नेम ऑफ द पेपर इज़ इंटरनेशनल पॉलिटिक्स थ्योरी एंड प्रैक्टिस। इसके अलावा बाकी सारे सब्जेक्ट्स के मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चन और सिलेबस की वीडियो यहीं पे देख सकते हो। इसका पंजाबी मीडियम में ट्रांसलेट किया गया है। इसका वीडियो भी आप यहीं पे देख सकते हो, इससे पहले वो अपलोड कर दिया गया है। सबसे पहले इसमें शॉर्ट क्वेश्चंस हैं। राइट डाउन एनी टू कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स ऑफ इंटरनेशनल पॉलिटिक्स। Why is the study of international politics important? And then how are international politics and international relations correlated? And then write down any two differences between realist and idealist approach. Write down any two limitations of national power. And then write down any two definitions of collective security. And then give 4 arguments against idealist approach. And then what is Morganthu's understanding of realism, how national power is based on geography, and then write down 2 basic assumptions of collective security. What is the purpose of collective security, and then why are unipolar world emerged after the end of Cold War, and then what do you mean by multipolar world, and what is world order, and then what is multipolar world order, and then what was the purpose of creating SARC. What is the new international economic order? What do you mean by DNAT? What is NATO? Name 2 countries of Warsaw Pact, and then write down any 2 differences between old and new Cold War. What do you mean by multipolar international order? Write down the names of members of SARC, and then explain the meaning of non-alignment, and then what is G8. Write down any 2 factors of NIEO. Who is the author of the book Politics Among Nations? And then international politics is an autonomous discipline. Comment. Write down any 4 basic assumptions of idealist approach, and then how realist approach to the study of international politics is opposed to peace. Explain. And then write down 4 main limitations of national power. And then which period is known as the golden age of balance of power, how collective security is important in international politics, and then what was the role of NAM in transformation of biopolarity, how do you understand American hegemony, write a short note on BRICS, what is SARC, name member countries, what do you mean by Brexit, explain Brexit. What is the European Union? What is the full form of UNCTAD? Differentiate between international relations and international politics. What is regionalism in international politics? Which is the famous book written by Hans J. Morgantha when it was published? Which US president advocated idealism in international politics? What do you mean by national power? Write 4 elements of national power. How is collective security important in international politics? What is the role of balance in the balance of power? In your view, which are 4 emerging powers in contemporary world? How US is the lone superpower? And then which are the BRICS countries? What is Arab Spring? And then where are SARC Secretariat and South Asia University located? How Brexit is related to European Union? Write down any 2 definitions of collective security. Write down any 2 similarities between collective security and balance of power. Write down any 2 differences between old and new Cold War. What do you mean by multipolar international order? And then define NIEO. Write down any 2 factors of NIEO. Who coined realism in international politics, role of peace in idealist approach, world public opinion as a limitation on national power, 4 main characteristics of balance of power, what do you mean by collective security, explain globalization, new Cold War, disarmament, what do you mean by USA hegemony, what do you mean by new international economic order, what do you mean by South-South cooperation, what do you mean by international politics. Write down any 4 basic assumptions of realist approach. What do you mean by idealist approach of international politics? Write down any 4 differences between realist and idealist approach. Write down 4 characteristics of national power. What do you mean by balance of power? What do you mean by collective security? What is the emerging trends of new multipolarity? And what is the meaning of bipolarity? Write down the names of the member countries of SAARC. Write down any 4 problems of SAARC. What do you mean by American hegemony? Write down the aim of European Union. And what do you mean by South-South dialogue? And what is G20? ये शॉर्ट क्वेश्चंस थे। अब है लॉन्ग क्वेश्चंस। सबसे पहले यूनिट फर्स्ट के लॉन्ग क्वेश्चन, डिफाइन इंटरनेशनल पॉलिटिक्स एंड राइट डाउन इट्स स्कोप, एंड देन डिफाइन इंटरनेशनल पॉलिटिक्स, डिस्कस इट्स स्कोप एंड यूटिलिटी, एंड देन आइडियलिस्ट अप्रोच इन इंटरनेशनल पॉलिटिक्स एम्फसाइज ऑन डिपेंडेंस अपॉन मॉरल वैल्यूज एंड द डेवलपमेंट ऑफ इंटरनेशनल इंस्टीट्यूशंस एंड इंटरनेशनल लॉ, डिस्कस मेन फीचर्स ऑफ आइडियलिस्ट अप्रोच इन द लाइट ऑफ द above statement, and then international politics is struggle for power. In the light of this statement, discuss the nature and scope of international politics, and then make a critical evaluation of idealist theory of studying international politics. And then what do you understand by international politics? Why we need to study international politics? And then critically evaluate the idealist approach to international politics, and then discuss Morgenthau's realist theory of international politics. Define international politics, discuss its nature and significance, critically examine the contribution of Professor Hans J. Morgenthau to the study of international politics, critically examine realist approach to the study of international politics. And unit second, what do you mean by national power? Discuss the elements of national power, and then define balance of power and make critical evaluation, and define national power, discuss its nature and limitations. National power is combination of military power, economic power and psychological power. Comment. What do you mean by collective security? Write down its characteristics. How the UN Security Council deals with the question of collective security, and then what are the elements of national power, discuss limitations on national power, how collective security can ensure peace, discuss its salient features, discuss the meaning and methods of balanced power, and then critically examine the working of principles of collective security system as laid down by UN Charter, and then discuss the meaning, characteristics and methods of balance of power. Unit third, write down a note on unipolar international system, and then write down the characteristics of the nature of the emerging world order. And then what is a unipolar system? Write down the factor responsible for its establishment in the contemporary international relations. Write down the effects of COVID-19 on world order. What do you mean by multipolar world? Discuss the reasons of its emergence after the end of Cold War. Discuss the prominent features of emerging world order, and then discuss the implications of emergence of multipolar world on international politics. Discuss the basic characteristics of emerging world order. Write down the characteristics of the nature of emerging world order. Discuss the emerging trends of world order in modern times, and then describe the features of multipolar world. Explain the emerging trends of new world order. And then unit 4th, write an essay on the objective principles of SAARC, its problems and importance found in the way of its smooth working. And then SAARC has failed to solve problems of the region, yet its importance cannot be ignored. In the light of this statement, give your suggestions to SAARC. And then discuss the problems of SAARC has faced throughout its existence. How, in your view, can these problems be solved? Demand for new international economic order comes out of the prevailing economic inequalities among the nation. Discuss. And then what, in your view, are the reasons of failure of SAARC as a regional organization? And then what is new international economic order? Discuss its main tenets, and then write down the major demands of NIEO. Is it still a mirage? Discuss this statement, and then write down the factor responsible of the establishment of new international economic order. Explain the objectives of the problems of the European Union, and then what is the new international economic order? Describe the major objectives of NIEO. And next, write down the factors responsible for the success of European Union. What are its challenges? And then what is the new international economic order? Discuss its basic principles. स्टूडेंट्स, ये थे मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चंस। इसके नोट्स तैयार कर लेना और इसी में से आपका पेपर आना है। कुछ क्वेश्चन यहाँ रिपीट हुए हैं, जैसे कि उसको मोल्ड करके डाला गया, इसी तरह आपके पेपर में भी मोल्ड करके क्वेश्चन डाले जाएंगे, इसलिए यहाँ पे उनको ऐड किया गया ताजो आपको समझ आ सके कि अगर ये क्वेश्चन आता है तो आंसर उसका सेम है जैसे कि दूसरे क्वेश्चन को मोल्ड करके किया गया है। सो आप बाकी सारे सब्जेक्ट्स के मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चंस के वीडियो पंजाबी मीडियम में भी देख सकते हो, इंग्लिश मीडियम में भी देख सकते हो, और कुछ लेक्चर्स के वीडियो पंजाबी इलेक्टिव के कंपल्सरी के भी आपको यहीं पे मिल जाएंगे, सोशियोलॉजी के भी, तो आप वहाँ से अपने पेपर की तैयारी कर सकते हो। थैंक यू सो मच, मिलते हैं हम अपने अगले वीडियो में।